Most people plan weekend getaways from New York completely backwards. They start with a list of places. Then they try to cram as many of those places as possible into like 48 hours. 3 towns, 5 restaurants, a museum, a scenic drive, and by Sunday afternoon they're sitting in traffic on the Hutch or the Merritt thinking, why am I more tired than when I left? I see this all the time with guests who stay at Stanton House Inn. They arrive in Greenwich at the beginning of a New England road trip, or they stop here at the end of one. And they'll say something along the lines of, we're trying to see Mystic, Newport, the Berkshires, maybe the Hudson Valley, all in one weekend, which is technically feasible, but it's also a great way to spend most of your weekend in the car. So in this video, I want to show you a different way to think about weekend trips from New York City. Not a list of the most famous places, a list of places that actually work for a calm 2-day getaway. These are the places I recommend to guests when they ask me, where should we go next? Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Colin Pearson. I'm a 4th-generation innkeeper at Stanton House Inn in Greenwich, Connecticut. Guests ask me for travel recommendations all the time. These come from a lot of day trips and weekend drives, and a lot of conversations with guests who have tried them themselves. Before we talk about destinations, I want to share a simple rule. I call it the calm weekend rule. The best weekend getaways from New York tend to share 3 things. First, they're under 4 hours away. If you spend half your weekend driving, you've already lost. Second, they're walkable once you arrive. The best trips are the ones where you park the car and don't need it again. And third, they have enough charm to support 2 relaxed days, meaning you can walk around, have a good meal, maybe visit a museum, just one, sit somewhere beautiful, and not feel like you're rushing through a checklist. If a place meets those 3 criteria, it makes for a great weekend trip. And the places I'm about to show you all pass that test. If you want the easiest escape from New York City, the Hudson Valley is hard to beat. 2 towns in particular work beautifully for a calm weekend: Beacon and Cold Spring. Beacon has become something of an arts town. Dia Beacon is one of the most impressive contemporary art museums in the country, set inside a massive former factory. But even if you skip the museum, Beacon works well because of Main Street. It's long, walkable, and full of small restaurants, galleries, and coffee shops. Cold Spring is a little different. It's smaller, quieter, and feels more like a classic Hudson River village. You can spend a morning wandering through antique shops, then walk down to the river and watch the trains glide along the opposite bank. Both towns sit right along Metro North, which means you can actually do the weekend without a car. And for New Yorkers, that's quite a magic trick. Greenwich might be the most overlooked weekend trip from New York, in my opinion. People think of it as just a suburb, but if you treat it like a small coastal town, it works surprisingly well for a relaxed trip. Greenwich Avenue is extremely walkable. You've got restaurants, cafes, and shops all within a few blocks. Bruce Park is right nearby, and it's one of the prettiest small parks in the region. And if you want to get near the water, Greenwich Point Park is spectacular. It's a peninsula that extends out into Long Island Sound with walking paths and wide views back toward Manhattan on a clear day. It's also one of the easiest trips from New York City, about an hour by train, which makes it perfect if you want a very low-stress weekend. It's also where Stanton House Inn is, which means I'm obviously a little biased, but I've watched guests arrive here from the city and visibly decompress by the end of day 1. Mystic is Connecticut's most charming tourist trap. I still recommend it. Everyone and their mom knows about that place. And yes, it's a little touristy. But honestly, it's charming enough that I still bring first-time visitors here to put the state's best foot forward. The key with Mystic is how you experience it. You don't need to try to see everything. My version of Mystic is very simple these days. Park once, walk through downtown, watch the Bascule Bridge lift when boats pass through, get dinner, then grab ice cream and wander along the river. Mystic Seaport is excellent if you were at all interested in maritime history. But even without it, Mystic works beautifully as a slow, walkable town. It's especially nice in the evening once most of the day trippers have gone home. Newport is one of the few places that actually lives up to the hype. It's got an incredible mix of history, architecture, and ocean scenery. The Cliff Walk runs along the edge of the Atlantic with enormous historic houses rising on one side. It's one of the most dramatic coastal walks in the country. Then you've got the mansions. The Breakers, Marble House, Chateau-sur-Mer. These were summer cottages for America's wealthiest families in the late 19th century, which is a very polite way of saying they're enormous palaces. My rule with Newport: 1 mansion per trip, maybe 2. if you're really into Gilded Age interiors. More than that, and they start to blur together. For me, I start to lose the plot towards the end of the first house I visit. The first time I really understood Newport, though, was a clear early evening in June. Gas lamps flickered on, the harbor quieted down, and I finally got why people built palaces on this stretch of coastline instead of staying in the city. That's the version of Newport I'd send you to. Not the noon in July version, the evening version, when the light gets soft and the town quiets down after another busy day. Newport is a little farther than some of the other places on this list, but it absolutely deserves a 2-night stay, or more. Now, if you want mountains and forests instead of ocean, the Berkshires are perfect. Great Barrington is one of my favorite small towns in the region. And if there's one place I'd happily return to over and over, this is it. The downtown is walkable, the surrounding countryside is full of beautiful drives and hiking trails, and the food scene is surprisingly good for a town this size. Prairie Whale in particular is a meal I still measure other steaks against. Farm to table done right. Warm, unfussy, confident. If you're there for a special dinner, that's the one. Lenox, nearby, is quieter and a little more classic New England. Here you've got Tanglewood, the summer home of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. On a warm evening, you bring a blanket, spread out on the lawn, and listen to the orchestra play while the sun goes down. It's one of those New England experiences that's hard to replicate anywhere else. But be sure to bring serious bug spray though. Having lived up there, the bugs are no joke. My approach to the Berkshires is simple. Anchor each day in one town. Pick one thing to do. Then see where the day takes you. It's the kind of place that gets better every time you go back, because you stopped trying to see everything on the first trip. In fall, the Berkshires are spectacular, but honestly, they work year-round. Most people skip the North Fork for the Hamptons, and that's exactly why it works. The North Fork is a completely different experience from the South Shore. It's quieter, more rural, more about farms and vineyards than beach clubs. Towns like Greenport have a relaxed harbor feel. You can spend the day visiting wineries, stopping at farm stands, and eating at small seafood restaurants. Then walk around the marina in the evening. It's the kind of weekend where you realize at dinner that you haven't checked your phone all day, and you can't quite remember why you were stressed before you got there. If you want something that feels like a slow countryside weekend without leaving the New York City area, the North Fork is a great pick. Guests who've done it tend to mention it unprompted when they get back. It seems to attract the right people. Provincetown is the farthest destination on this list. It's also the most unforgettable. It sits right at the tip of Cape Cod, and it really does feel like the edge of the world. Commercial Street is the center of town. Art galleries, restaurants, bakeries, little shops, all incredibly walkable, and the energy there is unlike anywhere else in New England. Provincetown has been an artist colony for more than a century now, which gives it a creative, welcoming atmosphere that people fall in love with very quickly. I've been lucky enough to go almost every year for a while now. Usually the first week of June. It's too cold to get in the water, but warm and sunny enough to wander around in jeans and a t-shirt. And the reason I keep going back is the rhythm of the place. In the morning, you walk the quiet streets to get coffee. The town is barely awake. It's just you and a few other people and the light coming off the water. In the afternoon, you sit on a porch with a book, people watching on Commercial Street while the midday crowds pass by. And in the evening, once the day trippers have left, the town settles into something else entirely. Great restaurants, live music, drag shows, one of the most lively communities on the East Coast. And if you come for an afternoon, you'll miss all of that. It's much farther from New York, of course, but if you're willing to make the drive, it's absolutely worth the trip. Just don't do a 2-night stay. After that 4-hour drive, you're gonna need some more time to decompress. Spoken from experience. So those are 7 weekend trips from New York City that I regularly recommend to guests. And they're very different experiences. Hudson Valley for art and river towns, Mystic and Newport for coastal New England, the Berkshires for mountains and art, North Fork for vineyards, Provincetown for something completely unique. But if there's one thing I've learned from years of recommending these trips, it's this. The best weekend trips from New York aren't always the farthest away. The places most New Yorkers overlook, Greenwich, the North Fork, Cold Spring, often beat the places they're fighting traffic to reach. The rule isn't hard. The hardest part is resisting the urge to add one more stop, because the best trips aren't the ones where you see the most things. They're the ones where you actually slow down enough to enjoy where you are. And if you're planning a trip that starts or ends near New York City, Greenwich makes a great first stop. Just saying.